I'm on my way to my 9 to 5 grind, and I was just thinking. What I was thinking about was about movies and how movies have different meanings or hidden meanings, different meanings and hidden meanings. They're actually hidden in plain sight. So this movie that came to my mind, Adam Sandler's in it, and the movie is called Click. Let me know in the comments that if you've seen it, and two, if you have seen some of the message that I'm going to explain or talk about. So it starts off as, his family, he's, working, and he has this huge, career. I want to say either some type of designer or developer, maybe like a product developer. And he has 2 kids, a boy and a girl. And as they grew up, right, then it takes all these twists and turns. And so what started out as him and his wife, which is he met at the bar, it was vibrant, with dreams. He didn't, at the time he didn't have much, but what he did or what he had was ambition. So it starts off that way, and then they have kids, and then as the kids grow, as the events, all of a sudden, problems start to happen. The monotony kicks in, and he starts putting work. He starts to worry about his job and starts to invest more time in his job than in his family, than his wife. At first, she understands, but then after a while, we're going to say a long while, because this probably went on, from 2 to 3 years to 4, and the relationship was wear and tear. Then when she really starts to, put her foot down, then he just feels so overwhelmed, because he's like, I have my wife needs this time, but then my job is needed. I need to put this time in so then I could buy the things, or I can provide the things that my family wants, that my wife wants, etc., etc. Then he goes to, I think he falls into a deep sleep, and a remote control appears, and then a character appears, right? I forgot the actor's name, but put your comments down below if you know what character it is I'm talking about. So he explains to Adam Sandler, here's a device. So every time when you feel overwhelmed, you can pause it, you can rewind, you can fast forward. Anytime that you need a break, whatever moment, here you go. It's a gift. It's on me. I'm adding my own spin to it, but that's pretty much what happened and what he said along those lines. So just follow me. So he's like, oh, okay, cool. But then he gives him a sudden warning. He said, remember, once you those action buttons, it can possibly change your life. So be careful how you use this device. This device is not a quick fix. So then he says, yeah, sure. Then so he tries it out. So when Sally, goes home. Then when he tries it out, soon as the argument stops, and then he pauses it. He pauses the whole scenery. And then he was like, wow. And then he takes some time to think. So at first he's different scenarios. If he wanted to speed something up, he skipped through all the what seemed boring parts. Then he skips it to the parts that he likes the most, which was the intimacy parts. So he sped that up. And then when it's like at work, then when, his boss or whatever, his boss was a, jerk, so he did a cruel, a cruel joke on him, and he noticed that it had some type of, effect, right? And so that scene was pretty funny, actually. So then that goes on. Then what happens is the children starts growing up. He was fast forwarding so much that the years flew by. And all of a sudden, the remote is now set to autopilot according to his programming. So then he says, he wants to skip the part. Now he wants to slow down the parts even more. But by that time, it's too late because it's already set to his settings, to what he actually wants and likes. So then he looks for the guy, and then he was like, oh, what is this? Why I didn't want these parts to be sped up. Like, what's the big idea? And then he starts to explain to him. He said, look, I told you, you got to be careful with this device. And then he was like, this device is non-returnable, which he said during the first meeting. He said, this device is geared towards you. It's non-negotiable, non-refundable. So then when he tries to, just throw it outside or whatever, then all of a sudden it appears. Then these events happen, then he gets older, then his kid's grown up. Then, sped through sickness and all of that has, sped through these events was occurring, and he couldn't control the speed anymore because it was on autopilot. So then when he gets to, then when the guy reveals to himself, he was pretty much between like life and death. I'll just say the angel of death. Okay. So then he met the third time, like the third time. I want to say maybe 3 or 4 times, but I want to say like the third time, um, you know, they played out, his life and what happened, and then he took him through the process of his, thinking. It was a snapshot. So now Adam's looking on the outside, and the angel of death was showing him. He said, "You see, when all this was happening, when you were speeding up, when you sped this up, you were actually on autopilot. You didn't hear what was said. Now your wife, that's why your wife left you, and then decided to have to share life with someone else, and this happened like years later. So now he started to form the think about, okay, this is what life was about. And so when he realized his son was following through the same steps, and he was on his deathbed, and then he was like, no, honeymoon. These are the things that is important. Family is important. Family is important. And so as he, as that part, fades out, then all of a sudden he woke up back to the store. So it was pretty much a snapshot, an ultimate universe. If he would have did this, then all these events will occur, and this is what happened. This is the result. Now, I shared that pretty much movie summarized, the parts of the movie is about this. We gotta be careful on our actions, what we do, because there's no playback button. There's no button to where we can slow down or to pause. Not in that sense. Now, when we want to slow down, right? Our way of slowing down and pausing is by taking some time or a day to ourselves and actually, go for a walk and think about the events, what we did or what led us up to these points. Our actions, what led up to these points. You have to be mindful because there's no playback. Once something is done, life-changing enough, you cannot undo it. We can't. When you live on impulse, and when you live on autopilot, that could be dangerous. And you can set yourself up for consequences that you can't change. You can't come back from that. And so that's why I like that movie, Click. Also, understand or know what's important, to you, to your core. Now, you're sacrificing something. There's always a sacrifice. The thing is, what do you want to sacrifice? Or what, for example, if you want, you're working at a job, you want a huge some amount of money, you want to be able to go out vacations in this. you're going to, a lot of your time is going to be sacrificed. Now, if you're a family person, want to enrich, family life, chances are you won't have a huge amount of finances. Now, you'll have money, but you won't have the finances right away until, if you can balance that, you'll learn how to balance that. But yeah, like, share, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you think.